Hey there everyone, Luke here, and it's finally happening, guys. It's finally happening after, what, about 100 chapters since blooming was first introduced. We're finally getting into the points in the series that we have been waiting for, like, pretty much over 2 years. Kyorichio's blooming. I'm just getting it out of the way. Like, Kyorichio's blooming is activating in this chapter. Now, we don't find out what it is, but I've got some theories at the end of the chapter, and I'm just excited to talk about it, as I'm sure everyone who's read this chapter who's a fan of the series is just saying, like, this chapter is fired. This chapter is chapter of the week, and I'm praying, I am hoping that that Shounoji, Axel, Manga Crash, and a few others who do actually read the series, when we actually do get Rogers Base's Manga of the Year stream, they actually talk about this chapter, like talk about this fight, or how Momo's been as an antagonist, what the series has actually done this year, and why it might potentially outrank Spy X Family. I am just hoping for that. At least give it some recollection after what happened with last year, because last year it did get the short of the stick, but this year with Mission Yozakura, with this arc of the sibling retrieval arc, I'm getting introduced to the gold rank spies and their relationship with the Yozakura family. There's no doubt in my mind that it will at least be Spy X Family. We can give it that. But anyway, that's for later. For now, let's just talk about the chapter. Okay, so first thing we've got to get out of the way is, like, actually addressing, like, did it actually come out in 2 years ago? And the answer to that is yes. Blooming was first name dropped. I mean, we saw it in the Tampon Invasion Mansion arc, but the time when it was properly first introduced was chapter 63, which came out on December 13th, 2020, and now on December 5th, 2022. So yeah, about two years ago, and near enough 100 chapters ago, because we're on chapter 157. So, like, 95 chapters later, we're finally getting introduced to what Kyorichio's blooming is. So let's get to that chapter. So yeah, this is chapter 157, titled "I Love You." I am not going there. Like, I am not doing the Barney song, which is kind of funny, because I did do a joke Mission Yozakura Family anime trailer one time, which basically had that song as the Rick rolling trolling song, and the fact that we get a title chapter "I Love You," it's just like, call it foreshadowing, call it just a coincidence, but I don't care. But bottom line is, I am not going there with the "I love you, you love." Oh, god damn it! Right. Anyway, besides the point. So the chapter starts off with, after Kyorichio makes his explosive entrance. Michael Bay would be so proud of Kyorichio just making these entrances, and makes me wonder, how strong is the steel spider, since it's able to cut through solid stone, solid brick. Not trying to do any death battle predictions here, or anything, but maybe after this chapter, not after this chapter, after this arc, after we actually see what Kyorichio's blooming's doing, like Kyorichio versus Gouge or Kyorichio versus Salumi from Hunter x Hunter, maybe that will give us some indication of what they're all about. But yeah, Momo just praises Kyorichio. It's just like, Kyorichio, well, that was an explosive entrance. Well, you know your family, Momo. They like to make an entrance, like literally coming to the Skeleton Island to face Tampopo. They, if you remember, Momo, they dropped out of a car in the middle of the sky, and literally the family are just all about giving the grand entrances, and he pretty much says that, yeah, this is just like you, Kyorichio, to make this grand entrance, so why don't you come and have a seat? And Kyorichio in this one panel is doing his best not to flip his father off. Like, you see his finger coming up, you see his middle finger coming up, like he's doing his best not to flip it off, but of course Momo has blooming out face, so it's like, oh, I see, so we're doing this, we're actually going to fight. And yep, sure enough, most of the first half of this chapter is nothing more than than the fight scene between Kyorichio and Momo, but it's so well crafted, so well integrated that if we do get to this point in the anime, if we actually really get this anime that's coming, like it's been rumored to be being announced, hopefully at Jump Festa this year, this fight scene is just gonna be like one of the scenes that is just, it's just begging to be animated. It's just here, like, just make me incredible, extend me if you have to, because honestly, I want to see more of just this fight battle scene between Kyorichio and Momo. So yeah, we have Kyorichio, as you think he's going to flip on his finger, basically summons his steel spider. It's just like, oh, I knew you were going to do that, Momo, as you see Momo just bringing out his gun, but of course, Kyorichio's sword is coming out, it's just used the steel spider to grapple his father's hand and basically spew the blood out of him. But Momo is thinking one step ahead of it. It's basically a back and forth chess match. Like I said, no dialogue, just back and forth chess match. It's just being like, oh, you've got the gun out, I'm going to use steel spider to constrain your gun. Oh, you're constraining my arm and the gun. Oh, okay, I'm just going to use a knife to slice it off, potentially damaging my hand in the process, whilst your steel spider it's obviously damaging my hand, but anyway, small price to pay for what I'll get in return. So basically, a stalemate at this point between Kyorichio and Momo, and Kyorichio's not even entered the building. He's doing all of this at the entrance, so he's just standing there, just using his steel spider without having to without having to move off the same spot. Now, whether you're a fan of Kyorichio or not, I mean, personally, for me, he's never going to be one of my favourite characters, but at the same time, even I, who initially was just like, I'm not too sure about this guy, has come to accept, like, okay, he has had his moments of defilement, and he does have his badass moments, and this is one of them. I cannot deny that this is probably one of Kyorichio's best fights in the series, bar none, and it's very appropriate because it is against Momo. It's against the big bad. Now, a lot of people are saying, like, oh, this is going to be the climax of the arc, but personally, I feel like we've still got a few little things to go off, which we'll get into at the end of the chapter. So yeah, let's continue on. So we have, as the stalemate comes in, we've just seen them bringing their weapons back forth. As you see, like, Momo just doing like a Matrix style bullet time action where he just brings his gun, and as he brings his gun down, bullets start coming out, but he's doing it so fast that it's kind of like breaking what I assume is the sound barrier. So it's just like, but you see like Matrix style actions as you see the bullets just flying all around, obviously with the intent of hitting Kyorichio, but as it turns out, Kyorichio is one step ahead of him, as always, as he uses the steel spider to consume himself in this bubble, which weaves itself into arms. So it's kind of like arms are protecting Kyorichio whilst in the shield bubble. So yeah, this is where we finally get into some sort of interaction between the two. But yeah, for the first half of this chapter, or first quarter of this chapter, because it's we're on page 6 here, it's nothing more than just a straight up fight scene between Kyorichio and Momo. So despite Momo being taken aback a bit by this impenetrable fortress, he immediately recognizes what it is, and he's like, Arakun, the goddess web, an impenetrable wall that keeps everything out, the ultimate steel spider skill. Ultimate steel spider skill, yeah, right. I'm sure Kyorichio has come up with some more techniques than just revealing this to be his ultimate skill right in front of you, Momo, because he's your son. You should know that. Okay, I've not been with my son for a little while now, so maybe he's come up with something different that is even more powerful than this ultimate steel spider technique. I mean, we're going to be learning in a bit that Momo was the one who basically gave Kyorichio the opportunity to develop steel spider, but at the same time, Kyorichio's been working with this and training with this for years, so he's probably come up with some more techniques rather than just this one ultimate technique. He could have several ultimate techniques for all we know, and this being Kyorichio, it's obvious that he's got something else up his sleeve. He's like one of the more complex individuals in the series, and definitely a little bit of the more secretive side. But yeah, Momo says that, this makes sense, that no wonder the scent of the cherry blossoms didn't reach you, and that's why my blooming isn't working on you, because it's basically like he said, it's an impenetrable fortress, so basically no technique can override it or get through it. It's basically the protect move from Pokemon. Like if we're going to compare it to Pokemon moves, it's protect from Pokemon. So yeah. Momo praises him. I was like, you finally perfected it, Kyorichio. I miss the days we spent working on it. And yeah, he perfected it all on his own, Momo, without your help. So even though you gave him the ability to train with it, you cannot give yourself any praise because this was all on Kyorichio, and Kyorichio basically confirms that yes, we invented it for the sake of the family. Like, okay, yeah, maybe they both invented it, but at the same time, Kyorichio was the one who was doing most of the work. As he says, this isn't how it was meant. This isn't how it was meant to be used. It was made to protect our family, so I protected them from any and all evil, and I will protect them from everything I'm about to do. So he's basically saying, he's saying like, okay, yeah, I'm going to protect them from all the evils and all the atrocities. That includes you, Momo. But at the same time, I don't want them to be seeing me doing what I'm about to do. So I guess it's possible. Maybe he doesn't want them seeing his blooming because he doesn't want them seeing how scary it can be. Maybe that's the kind of thing we're going off here. As we see Momo going like, amazing, this is incredible, Kyorichio. And as Momo is still going to attack him, he is aware that the Goddess Web can't be broken, but that's still gonna face Momo because he's freaking Momo. And he mentions that, the one who taught you everything about the Steel Spider is me. And yeah, even though you taught him everything you knew, like I said, Kyorichio's been developing this technique for years, so he's obviously in his spare time, because you've been with Tampo, but you've not been with them for years, Momo. You don't know exactly what Kyorichio is capable of now with Steel Spider, and he could have developed it into something even more advanced that you could not actually anticipate. Momo continues on and says that, your threads are a mirror of your heart. I can see your love for the family in the way you weave them, and I do generally love this as well, because you see the image inside like this god spiderweb of all the Yozakura siblings and Tayo, which is also indicative of what you see on the panel, where you have him going, it was made to protect our family, so I'll protect them from any and all evil. You see the woven, the goddess spider steel bubble protection thing morph around not just the Yozakura siblings but also Tayo as well. Now, a lot of people, I think a lot of people might actually miss this point, but at the same time, this is very important because it's pretty much establishing here that Kyorichio, like I've been saying, regardless of how he felt about Tayo at the beginning, their relationship has developed and changed, and he now sees Tayo, even though he might see him reluctantly, he sees him as like, okay, yeah, he is a member of the family now. He is married to my sister, even though I don't particularly like this. I've never particularly liked Tayo. At the same time, he's learned, he's developed, he's matured, and I begrudgingly respect him, but that still doesn't mean I'm not going to give him a hard time. So he is kind of like being the big brother to Tayo. It's like, yeah, you are family now, and I'm always going to stick my neck out for you. But at the same time, I'm not going to let you go off easily. You're still going to suffer at times. But again, I'm still going to be the one that's going to be protecting you because you're part of my family now. You are married to my sister, and I do like that. I do like that how the dynamic has changed. And like I said, recently you've not been seeing Kyorichio being as like, oh, you're flirting with Mutsumi. Can't allow that with Tayo. I guess that's because we've been focusing on like, okay, we got to get the siblings back before we get back into those antics. But yeah. Really nice moment there, showcasing that Kyorichio, yeah, he does view Tayo as family, and he does love him as family. But yeah, we have Momo saying, they can't be broken, but this doesn't mean they can't be undone, just like how your hearts can. But this is when Kyorichio just demonstrates just how much of a badass he actually is. When we have Momo going like, your anger at me, your hate for me, those are memories you don't need anymore. You don't have to want to kill me anymore. Starting now, you're going to love me again. As Momo thinks like, okay, Kyorichio, you're obviously doing this out of anger. You really hate me. You despise me for what I've done to your family. And I would have blamed Kyorichio if that was actually the case, because you see him just like being just as disgusting and outraged at Mo than all the other Yozakuras. But at the same time, even though Momo does come and actually grabs a hold of Kyorichio, you see Kyorichio just being like, "Come at me." He accepts it. He accepts it, and this implies that Momo is actually wrong in this case. And as we'll soon see, this is actually the case, that Kyorichio is not angry at his father, because otherwise he would have been like, "Yeah, come at me, Momo. I accept what you're about to do, but I'm going to prove you wrong." After Momo is able to get a hold of Kyorichio, we cut into a flashback where we have pretty much a similar situation to what happened with Tayo a few chapters ago, where Tayo went into his memories and he's just like, what the hell happened? Kyorichio is the same way here in the flashback with him and Momo. It's just like Momo grabs a hold of him in the present, and then the past Kyorichio is just like, what was that? What was that I just felt? And Momo questions is like, "Oh, what's wrong, Kyorichio?" And he's like, "Oh, it's nothing." But anyway, Dad, do you have the weapon that I desired? And Momo's like, "Yeah, here you go. They're your gloves, Kyorichio." And you just see Kyorichio just getting like really gleamy and really delighted by it, like, "Yay, I have the steel spider gloves." And Momo just being Momo is just like, "See, they match mine. See." Oh my god, now we know where Kyorichio got it from, with his creepy brother persona. He got it from Momo, and I feel like, oh my god, that would be interesting if it turns out that the reason why he's disgusted at Momo is because it reminds him of himself, of just how disgusting he can be seen to others. Like, because you see it here, it's just like, see, they match mine, see? As you get the little love heart, and Momo's just like, "Oh, see, son, they match mine." And this is exactly what Kyorichio would do if it was like with Mutsumi and he gave her gloves. It's just like, "See, they match mine." And that's probably why he's discussing at Momo, because it reminds him so much of him and how people are like seeing him as like this pervy, creepy brother, which is something he's just like, "Wait, I'm getting all of this from Momo. Oh my god, I feel disgusted by that." But Momo basically goes over the nature to young Kyorichio for us, like, "The threads will cut your enemies and protect your allies. I think they'll suit you far better than guns or knives," which is very true. Kyorichio hardly uses any weapons in the series. Like, this is his primary weapon, and he's able to be using it to proficiency within the series. Just the steel spider, just how many times he can get the upper hand of an opponent just by using it. It's very simple ability when you get down to it. It's just basically really strong threads, but just the way he utilizes it to create shields, create barriers, basically ties enemies up, as we know, use them to cut, obviously. Just the way he's utilized it and made a seemingly limited ability, just made it more versatile, and also coupled with the fact of just he's the most intelligent and I dare say the quickest of the Yozakura siblings. Just those two aspects combined with the fact that he can make it a versatile ability has made him a very dangerous threat to not just his family but also its enemies as well. Which is also very reminiscent of One Piece, where we had Carrot, who wasn't very good at using the sword, but once she got her Alaclaws, she was very proficient at using them. Kind of a similar thing going on here with Kyorichio, and I feel like yeah, I'm back. Sorry, the screen was just a bit blank. So yeah, but anyway, we're back. Momo says that, "Oh, those gloves are your weapon, but they're also your armor too." Very, very, very accurate. Like, they are a great offense and a great defense, and virtually no weakness aside from Kyorichio's imagination, but also for the fact that they can be caught on rare occasions. But yeah, very versatile ability with virtually no weakness, because that's mainly due to Kyorichio's intelligence and how he's been able to utilize it. And Momo explains like, oh, I made them with the hope that you'll never get hurt, use them well. And Kyorichio, this way, drops the big bombshell. It's like, thanks, Dad, I will. As you see him just cut behind, forgetting the name of the part of the foot behind. Oh, what? I'm sure Party Jams will comment of just what that part of the foot actually is, because I'm just drawing a blank there. Yeah, I'm just drawing a blank. But yeah, Kyorichio does strike it because of Momo saying like, oh, I made them in the hope that you'll never get hurt, use them well. And yeah, Kyorichio's like, oh, I'm getting hurt right now, so I'm going to hurt you, Dad. And Kyorichio basically feels like, I am actually in this memory, so I know exactly what's going on, Momo. You don't need to brainwash me. Even now, I still love you, just like how I've always loved you. So yeah, that's why why Momo's booming doesn't actually work on Kyorichio, because he's not actually angry at Momo at all. He actually loves him, but at the same time, that doesn't mean he's not going to see Momo for what he really is. Momo is a monster, and even though Kyorichio loves this monster, he still has to take him out. So yeah, this is the perfect counter to Momo's ability, and it's why it's never going to work on Kyorichio, because he sees it as like, yeah, I love this monster, he's my father, but at the same time, I can look past that love and see him for what he is, while still obviously loving him, which is very a very realistic take, I must say. Like, because well, some people do love their family no matter what. At times, and what I feel is most realistic is when you can actually see their faults. Like always, the people that see their faults, even though you still love them, you still have to at times say to them like, look, what you're doing is wrong, and you need to be taken down a peg for it. Kind of like me, when I was manipulated by friends and nearly made homeless. My family, even though they loved me and supported me and got me out of that situation, it didn't mean that I was off the hook, and I was given a good talking down to and a good berating of just like, look, what you did was foolish, was stupid, and you shouldn't have done it, but we still love you either way. Similar thing what's happening here with Kyorichio. Kyorichio's just like, I still love you, Dad, I'm not angry at you, but at the same time, you need to be taken out because you are evil, what you're doing is wrong, and what you're doing is disgusting, but I'm not going to do it with anger, I'm going to do it with love. Similar to what's happening in Chainsaw Man with Denji and Makima. Like, Denji never defeated Makima out of anger or resentment. He still loved Makima to the end, and that's what actually ultimately caused Makima's downfall. So it's kind of similar thing here, and kind of the same thing what we're going down with Momo's downfall. Although whether or not that will actually happen, that remains to be seen. But it seems like, yeah, Momo is going to be taken out in this fight. So yeah, to round up the chapter, Kyorichio basically reiterates what I said of just like, yeah, I still loved you, so that's why I should have stopped you back then, but I couldn't. Mainly because he felt like he wasn't strong enough to take on Momo. That's probably the reason why. He said a piece of him hoped that maybe our family could come back, even though I knew that was impossible. So yeah, even though he still loves him, he knows that it's impossible. I am just like you, Dad. Yeah, very similar, because they're always thinking about family. It's just Kyorichio thinks about them in a different way to Momo. As he says, let's end this for the sake of our family. As we see Kyorichio put his finger down, start to draw something. Oh, I think he's drawing blood. Yeah, it seems like he's drawing blood. So I feel like he's using the steel spider to draw blood out of him. Drops it on the floor. The blood starts expanding out of him. And Tao's just like, what the hell is going on here? Momo knows what it is. As we see, finally, after nearly 100 chapters and almost 2 years, Kyorichio activates his blooming. And he says, goodbye, Dad. And that's where the chapter ends. So yeah, the one scene we have been waiting for the entire series. What is Kyorichio's blooming? Now, Now, before we get into it, major thoughts on the chapter. Loved it. It had the perfect balance of exposition and battle, and very emotional moments with Kyorichio and Momo, and what their relationship actually entails. Now, in terms of Kyorichio's blooming, I kind of had a feeling this would probably have, like, they'd end it on Kyorichio's blooming, because that's going to give the biggest cliffhanger of the series of just like, okay, it's kind of like when Bleach revealed a Bonkai. Like, this is very reminiscent of Shunsui Bonkai in Bleach. Like, we were waiting an entire week to find out what that Bonkai actually did. Same thing here. We're going to be waiting an entire week to figure out what exactly this blooming actually does. And I have my own theories. My first theory that I feel like is going to be the most prominent is blooming is going to be erasure or erase. Basically, what that entails is that anything Kyorichio loves or someone he loves but he feels like is way past the point of reasoning and way past the point of redemption, he can erase them from the existence and basically make them become a distant memory. So I feel like that's what's going to happen to... I feel like if that's the case, that's probably what's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to be engulfing him, and he's just going to become a memory at that point and basically taken out. So, well, that is a dangerous ability to have, and probably why he doesn't want the other family members seeing it. At the same time, it's not OP because it has to be done under specific circumstances. So maybe that's why he said, like, look, this has to be activated on my father, and maybe this is the reason why, because he still loves his father, but at the same time he knows that it's beyond redemption for Momo at this point. So perfect time to activate his blooming. So specific circumstances makes it a deadly blooming, but at the same time it doesn't make it OP because it can only be done on specific circumstances. That's my most prevalent theory. I don't have any major other theories of what it could actually be, so I'd like to know what some people have, although I'm pretty sure only Pie is the only one that's going to give a theory about what Kyorichio's blooming is. And maybe, like I said, maybe this might not be the end for Momo. Maybe it might be revealed like actually Ri's been the one in control this whole time, and it's got like a double personality going inside Momo's head, which incorporates Ri as well. Or maybe Tsubumi might come back into the story, like, yeah, Momo might get absorbed back into Tsubumi, and it might be a case of like Tsubumi gets revived helpfully, because she is pretty much on death's door at this point in the series, which is why I feel like even though we're in the climax, we still have to have some things addressed. Like, we still have to address the gold rank spies, like what they're actually doing while all this craziness is actually going on in the bowels of the ship. So yeah, that's all for later. But finally, Kyorichio's blooming is finally here, and that's my most prevalent theory, that it's going to erase Momo from this world and have him become a distant memory, but it's going to be out of love for Momo rather than out of hatred, which is why it's only at this point Kyorichio can actually activate it. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this chapter? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz, and this will be Lasherluke signing off. Later, guys.